Good morning, Hope Kids, and welcome to Sunday School Online. I am Miss Grace, and I am the Sunday School teacher here at Hope Church. I am so glad to have you join me this morning for our next lesson on Into the Promised Land. 2 weeks ago, we learned that 12 scouts were sent to examine the Promised Land. 10 of them did not trust God and led the people away from Him, but Joshua and Caleb trusted God to give His people the Promised Land. Last week, we learnt that the people sinned again, this time by believing that God would not provide for them and for being ungrateful for the food that He provided for them. When poisonous snakes came as punishment for their sin, God told the people to look at the bronze snake and they would be healed. This week, we will learn about a man who was sent to curse God's people. Our story is called Balaam and Balak. This story takes place in Numbers 22 to 24. The Israelites continued to wander the wilderness, and in time, all the adults died except for Moses, Joshua, and Caleb. The children grew up, and more children were born. The Israelites continued to disobey God time and time again, but God still provided for them. He planned to keep His promise to give the Israelites the Promised Land. As the Israelites traveled, God gave them victory over attacking armies like the Canaanites and the Amorites. So, when the Israelites set up camp in the plains of Moab, the king of Moab was terrified. His name was Balak, and he knew that he could not defeat the Israelites on his own. So he called on Balaam, a pagan prophet, to put a curse on the Israelites. Balaam did not follow God, but he did know of Him. And when he was on his way to curse the Israelites, God stopped him by sending an angel. Balaam couldn't see the angel, but his donkey could, and so the donkey stopped. Balaam got so angry with the donkey, and suddenly, God made the donkey talk. Balaam did not know what was going on, so God spoke to him, and He said, "You are not to curse this people, for they are blessed." God's plan all along was to bless humanity, specifically through the nation of Israel. So each time Balaam spoke over Israel, God did not allow him to curse the Israelites. Instead, Balaam spoke in 4 clear messages, insisting that God would bless the Israelites. One of the ways that God would bless the Israelites is found in Numbers 24, verse 17. A star will come from Jacob, and a scepter will come from Israel. Balaam told of a powerful future king who would be victorious over his enemies. This prophecy was talking about and was eventually fulfilled by Jesus. How would you react if your pet started talking to you? Isn't it strange that Balaam didn't say anything like, "Hold up, you can talk"? He was so focused on how angry he was that he didn't even stop to wonder how a donkey was talking. God was using the donkey to get Balaam's attention and to change Balaam's plans. You see, even though Balak sinned by going against God and His people, God opened Balaam's eyes and commanded him to bless the Israelites. And that is exactly what Balaam did. Balaam proclaimed a blessing over God's people, and God revealed some things about the coming rescuer. Balaam's message meant that the rescuer was coming from Jacob's family and that he would be a king. We know that Jesus is the rescuer from Jacob's family, and He is the King of Kings. Even in the middle of our sinful choices, God is still in control. Balaam could not curse God's people. When Balaam encountered God, it drastically changed his plans. When we encounter Jesus, it changes our whole lives. God sent Balaam to bless His people, the Israelites. And 1400 years later, after Balaam announced God's promise, Jesus was born. God sent Jesus to bless anyone who trusts in Him by dying on a cross, rising from the grave, clearing our debt, and rescuing us from sin. Well, that wraps up our lesson for this week. You can find all of the Hope Kids resources in our app, Hope Reformed Baptist Church. In the media section, there's a Bible story video, some activities for the kids, and there's also a parent guide for mums and dads to go through with their kids for reviewing and discussing this week's lesson to help your kids better understand the biblical truths we just talked about. I hope you're all doing well, missing you all so much. Have a wonderful week, and until next Sunday, God bless. One of the ways that God would bless